What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Tony Reads. Okay, so in today's video, I'm going to be stepping out into new territory. As most of you know, if you've already watched any of my videos, I am a thriller reader and only thriller reader. I just started reading less than a year ago. All I read is thrillers. That's what I love. However, I wanted to branch out because when it comes to movies, I actually love horror and thriller. I decided since it's getting close to Halloween season, spooky season, whatever you want to call it, I thought I want to add some horror books into my little stash of things to read. And so I want to kind of get started with that right now because I've been doing some research. I'm actually really excited about some of the books that are out there. So I do want to start by saying I do ask for recommendations a lot, but I do want to say there are two books on my list that are about vampires, but I don't really like vampire stories. Like, for example, I don't even remember what it's called, but that whole movie thing that was real popular was like Young Adult or something, and there was like those vampires and there was some wolves and they was in a town called Forks or something. I did not like that at all, and I would not read a book like that. I will tell you what I do like. I like vampires more like in a, I don't want to say domestic kind of sense or whatever. And one of my all-time favorite movies is Fright Night. There's two Fright Nights. There's one that was a remake like maybe 10 years ago or something like that. But I love the original one that was made in the 1980s with Chris Sarandon playing as a vampire or whatever. I love that movie so much. And so anything that kind of reminds me of that, I would be interested in as far as a vampire. But I don't love every type of vampire movie, let alone a book. But anyway, I just want to give that my little 2 cents on that right there. But anyway, let me get started with this list. I'm not going to say TBR. I'm going to change it to hopefuls because I hope that I get to read all these books. Okay, so these books are actually not in any particular order, but I do want to start with a vampire book just to get it off my chest. And this book is The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. And I've told you guys before that I never started reading until less than a year ago. But I had tried an audiobook several years ago, maybe like 3 years ago, and this was the audiobook. And I liked it, it was interesting, but I wasn't used to it, and so I'm like, they're describing too much, it's taking too long or whatever. And then the real bad part about it is with an audiobook, I don't know why I chose the audiobook, but I used to fall asleep while I'm listening to it. So then when I wake up the next day or later on that day or whatever, I'm like, where did I even leave off at? And then I had to try to go back and find out where I left off at and everything. And so it just didn't work for me at all. But I really like the concept of this story. And Grady Hendrix, like if you read horror or whatever, I'm sure you've probably heard of him. Whatever, he's very popular right now. And so this book, actually, my sister's the one that recommended it to me. She pretty much knows what I like. And she's like, no, you got to read that book. You really love it. And like I said, from what I remember about the audio, I did like it. I just didn't like not being able to keep up where I was at, and it just like it was taking too long to get to the real point of it. But now that I started reading, I'm a totally different person now, so I'm going to give it another chance. But anyway, I just went through this long drawn out thing. So like I said, this book is like several years old, and what I don't like about it is it's 424 pages. That's way longer than what I like. I like 350 and below, and I really is preferably like 300 and below. But if a book is really, really, really good, I'll be able to stick to it if it's over 400. But that's kind of rare for me, so we'll see what happens with this. So it says, Steel Magnolias meets Dracula, which I thought was kind of funny. And I do remember this. It's like not straight out comedy, but there were like funny parts about it. And I kind of like that because I like to be entertained. So it says, Patricia Campbell's life has never felt smaller. Her husband is a workaholic. Her teenage kids have their own lives. Her senile mother-in-law needs constant care, and she's always a step behind on her endless to-do list. The only thing keeping her sane is her book club, a close-knit group of Charleston women united by their love of true crime. At these meetings, they're as likely to talk about the Manson family as they're about their own families. One evening after book club, Patricia is viciously attacked by an elderly neighbor, bringing the neighbor's handsome nephew, James Harris, into her life. James is well-traveled and well-read, and he makes Patricia feel things she hasn't felt in years. When there's a vampire involved, in the kind of movies I like anyway, they're always like luring these women, these like desperate women or whatever. So I thought that's kind of funny. But when children on the other side of town go missing, their deaths written off by local police, Patricia has reason to believe James Harris is more of a Bundy than a Brad Pitt. The real problem, James is a monster of a different kind, and Patricia has already invited him in. So again, I made reference to Fright Night, and if you know anything about vampire movies and stuff, books, whatever, like there's these rules about vampires, and one of them or whatever is that you can't invite them in your house, because once you invite them in, they can come in anytime they want, basically. So you should never invite a vampire into your house if you believe in that kind of stuff. And don't invite anybody creepy into your house, basically, bottom line, or somebody you really don't know, because you never know, they could be a vampire. Little by little, James will insinuate himself into Patricia's life and try to take everything she took for granted, including the book club. But she won't surrender without a fight in this blood-soaked tale of a neighborly kindness gone wrong. So this book, like, I can understand not doing the audio part, but I can't understand why I thought this was boring. I just love the concept of it. Now that I'm a reader, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna love this book, but we will see. So the next book, while I'm on the subject of Grady Hendrix, who's supposed to be this awesome horror book writer, the next one is called How to Sell a Haunted House. This one comes highly recommended actually from my sister. I know it's not too scary because she's like a big old chicken, and if she could read it, then anybody can. Plus, I'm not the type that's like scary. I sleep in the dark, you know, I'm in the house alone, you know. I don't, you know, I don't sleep under the covers or anything like that. So this kind of stuff doesn't faze me. I just get entertained by it. But this one's newer than the other one about the vampires, I think. This one actually has 448 pages. Again, that's too long for my taste, but I'm seeing as I'm looking at these horror books, a lot of them are way longer than the thrillers. So that's, if I go really stay into horror, that's something that I'm gonna have to get used to. So it says when Louise finds out her parents have died, she dreads going home. She doesn't want to leave her daughter with her ex and fly to Charleston. She doesn't want to deal with her family home, stuffed to the rafters with the remnants of her father's academic career and her mother's lifelong obsession with puppets and dolls. So already when you hear about puppets and dolls being in a story, you already know there's trouble. You already know that like some dolls will be kept in a cabinet or something, and somebody's going to wake up in the middle of the night and notice that the cabinet door is open and the doll is missing. You already know somebody's going to wake up in the middle of the night and a doll's going to be standing over their bed looking at them. You already know somebody's going to hear little footsteps with a dog creeping around the house at night. Just all the kind of stuff that I love. So she doesn't want to learn how to live without the two people who knew and loved her the best in the world. Most of all, she doesn't want to deal with her brother Mark, who never left their hometown, gets fired from one job after another, and resents her success. Unfortunately, she'll need his help to get the house ready for sale because it'll take more than some new paint on the walls and clearing out a lifetime of memories to get this place on the market. But some houses don't want to be sold, and their home has other plans for both of them. This, oh my gosh, I can't believe I haven't been reading horror stories up until now. I mean, this just sounds like awesome. This actually, with most of the thriller books, this, if it's as good as what the summary is, this just puts them all to shame. So I hope this book really lives up to my expectations because it's really long. I'm telling you, if it's not good and it's not a page turner, I'm probably going to DNF because 400 plus pages is too long for me, but we will see. Okay, so the next book just came out and it's by an author named Rachel Harrison and it's called So Thirsty. It literally just came out this month. As a matter of fact, it might not even be out yet, but it comes out September 2024. And again, this is another vampire one, but it sounded really good. And so I'm going to go ahead and give this one a try. Okay, so it says Sloane Parker is dreading her birthday. She doesn't need a reminder she's getting older or that she's feeling different about her own life. Her husband surprises her with a birthday weekend getaway, not with him, but with Sloane's longtime best friend, troublemaker extraordinaire Naomi. Sloane anticipates a weekend of wine tastings and cozy robes and strategic avoidances of issues she'd rather not confront, like her husband's repeated infidelity. But when they arrive at their rental cottage, it becomes clear Naomi has something else in mind. She wants Sloane to stop letting things happen to her for Sloane to really live. So Naomi orchestrates a wild night out with a group of mysterious strangers, only for it to take a horrifying turn that changes Sloane's and Naomi's lives literally forever. The friends are forced to come to terms with some pretty eternal consequences in this bloody, seductive novel about how it's never too late to find satisfaction, even though it might taste different than expected. So I was interested in this because it just sounds like a very different type of concept. I actually love to see them make a movie out of this. And it's just something really different than what I've ever read or seen a movie about. And so I thought I would go ahead and give this one a try. I don't go by reviews all the time, but it actually gets pretty good reviews on Goodreads. So I'm looking forward to giving this one a shot as well. Okay, so the next book is called I Was a Teenage Slasher, and it's by Stephen Graham Jones. This one was actually, again, recommended to me by my sister. She hasn't read it yet, but she thought it was something that I might like. I will say that I do watch some slasher movies. They're not my favorite, but I like slasher movies that have some kind of point to it, not just like Jason, you know, in Friday the 13th or Michael Myers or anything like that. Although I did watch like 3 Halloween movies this past weekend. But for a book, I couldn't read anything like that because I would be bored. But this one has like a really different concept because the book is telling the story from the slasher's point of view, which I thought was really interesting and really different. And so this book is 377 pages, so that's a little bit better than the other ones. I still hope this better be good. This one actually, I believe it just came out this summer, so it's fairly new. And it says 1989, Lamesa, Texas, a community driven by oil and cotton, a town where everyone knows everyone else's business. Tolly Driver, 17, a good kid with more potential than application, exists on the outskirts with his best friend Amber. They navigate the hellscape of the teenage social scene, I can't talk, sticking together in a place that doesn't know how to be different. But when they go to a fateful party at Deke Masterson's house, a party that ends in a series of gruesome, brutal, and extravagant murders, Tolly's world gets flipped upside down. Because some slashers are born in violence and retribution, some were born that way. And some were just in the wrong place at the wrong time. I don't know what that last 2 sentences really meant or whatever, but yeah, it just sounds good. Like I said, it's from the slasher's point of view, which is a very different concept for me. Again, this one gets pretty good reviews on like Goodreads and stuff, but I'm gonna go ahead and give it a shot just because this will be something totally new and totally different. Okay, so last but not least is a book called We Used to Live Here, and it's by Marcus. I think it's Kluwer, Kliewer. This book is 320 pages, which is way better. That's more in my range that I'm used to. This one also just came out this past summer. And it says Get Out meets Parasite in this eerily haunting debut and Reddit hit, soon to be a Netflix original movie starring Blake Lively. So that just sounds really good to me right there because Get Out is one of my all-time favorite movies. I just watched it like the other day. If I like a movie, I'll watch it like over and over again if I can still continue to be entertained by it. So if it's kind of like that, it's creepy like that movie with the original concept, I'm pretty sure I'll love it. And so it says it's about 2 homeowners whose lives are turned upside down when the house's previous residents unexpectedly visit. As a young queer couple who flips houses, Charlie and Eve can't believe the killer deal they've just gotten on an old house in a picturesque neighborhood. As they're working in the house one day, there's a knock on the door. A man stands there with his family, claiming to have lived there years. Claiming to have lived there years before asking, I can't read. Claiming to have lived there years before and asking if it would be all right if he showed his kids around. People pleaser to a fault, Eve lets him in. Okay, you know, there's always some dummy in the movie or whatever. Why would you let a stranger come into your house just because he said he used to live there? That's actually just really weird anyway. So, you know, this movie or book, I keep saying movie, book, is starting off on the wrong foot already. And that makes it just even more great to me and more interesting. As soon as the strangers enter their home, uncanny and inexplicable things start happening, including the family's youngest child going missing and a ghostly presence materializing in the basement. Okay, you already know. If there is a basement, you know there ain't gonna be nothing but trouble. Basement is like equivalent to like the dolls and the puppets from the other book. I'm telling you, basements are, I don't care what kind of house you live in, unless you have a fully, you know, you've remodeled your basement and made it look like the rest of the house. If it's some old creepy, dark basement, you already know nothing but trouble. Even more weird, the family can't seem to take the hint that their visit should be over. And when Charlie suddenly vanishes, Eve slowly loses her grip on reality. Something is terribly wrong with the house and with the visiting family, or is Eve just imagining things? So again, this is like, they already say they're going to make this into a Netflix movie. That's another reason why I really want to read this one, because I want to do a comparison with a book to a movie, because everybody says the books are so much better than the movies, and I'm a new reader, so I haven't got to experience that yet, so I really want to do that. But this just sounds like really good, really like super creepy. And I don't know if these people are going to be like little devils, ghosts, you know, not really even alive anymore, just some crazy people. I don't know what's going to happen in this. And it just seems like it's really going to be like a page turner. Plus, it's like domestic. I like domestic horror movies. I keep saying movies, books, just as much as I like domestic thrillers. And so this one again just seems really interesting to me, and I can't wait to read this one as well. So that's my little list for now. You know, I don't know if I'm gonna make all those by Halloween, but I'm surely gonna try because they just seem good. I just seem super entertaining. I'm glad to be able to not break away. I still love thrillers. I'm always gonna read thrillers, but just to be able to try something different as far as books. I want to get some creepier stuff into my reading rotation just to make it interesting since Halloween is coming up soon. So anyway, if you have any recommendations for some good horror books for me to check out, or some authors or whatever, please let me know and drop those in the comments, because now I'm new. I was new to thrillers, now I'm new to horror. So just let me know who those are, who your favorite authors are, or favorite books are. So anyway, if you like this video, thumbs up. If you're not already a subscriber, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and notification button so you'll be notified every time I upload a new video. And I will see you in the next one.